Good morning, Patriots. How you doing today? This is Mike the Patriot coming to you live from the downtown metropolis of LaMonte, Missouri. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever it is you are at. It's hot, and it rained last night. There was like flash floods and cats and dogs and hurricanes and tornadoes and I don't know, all kinds of stuff moving through central Missouri. It rained like crazy. Lightning was like wild. But you know, it is summer. It gets hot in July. So I'm not shocked, just not. Usually it's drier than this, but the corn loves it. So do the beans. So that's good for the farmers. What's good for the farmers is good for everybody else because you know how the song goes, right? Right? Rain makes corn, corn makes whiskey, and whiskey makes my baby feel a little frisky. We don't drink in my household very much, but very much because Chris will have something when we're out once in a while, but I don't drink at all. But the song is still cool. So anyways, this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. And the word of the day as given by the Lord from Marine in the Woods is Luke 7:1-9. That's Luke 7:1-9. Make sure you crack open the Bible, see what God has for you today, because God is absolutely good. And all the time he is good. There is no mistake in anything that God does. And you can depend on him to come through every time. Maybe not when you want him to. It may not what you want, what you envision, what you think in your own mind. God says, no. Watch what I do. So everybody's got their theories about what's going on. The military's coming. No, it's Nucera Jacera. No, it's I don't know, aliens, something. Everybody's got their something. Everybody's got their niche that they're talking about, you know. Brad Barton's over there declaring himself a sovereign citizen. Whatever, man. I'm not going to do that. Are you going to do that? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. My father-in-law did that in the 70s. They're still garnishing his wages. So anyways, here's the thing. Brad, I love you, brother, but you have an awful lot to take. Whereas people like me, they got nothing to take. They probably won't waste their effort on me. Well, yes, but it's illegal, and I get it. I get the argument, and I don't disagree, except they have guns, and they don't have to go to court. Understand, there's two entities. The IRS and student loans that do not have to go to court to seize your assets and garnish your wages. Take everything. Take everything. They could take everything. They could just walk in, kick the door open, say, get out, put a lock on your door, and take everything, and it doesn't have to go to court. Well, that's unconstitutional. Yes, it is. And if you fight it on that grounds, 10, 15 years later, you might win. I'm just saying. You go ahead, do you. So I'm not, look, there's a lot of people that do that and a lot of people that get away with it, but there's some that don't. Wesley Snipes. Just be careful. You're pulling a pin on a grenade and holding it in your hand saying nothing's going to happen to me. Maybe it won't. Maybe you won't. Donald Trump's in charge now. Maybe he'll eliminate the IRS and it won't matter. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The Fed, the IRS, all this stuff. It could happen. But the next guy might not be so nice. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, I don't know why I didn't went that road, but I did. Anyways, that's a warning to any of you that feel like you want to do that. Look, I'm not telling you not to do that. Just like I'm not telling you not to believe in the clouds coming out of the back of the planes. I mean, I see them too. They are coming out of the plane. Not very many right now for some reason. I looked yesterday. Really, really humid day. The wind wasn't. This was before the storms came. Wind wasn't blowing nothing. And I looked. I didn't see a doggone trail in the sky. It's weird. By the way, anybody live in Florida? Yeah, they passed the law and the governor signed it banning that. So no more The planes aren't leaving any more trails in the sky in Florida? Well, not right now. I don't see any. Just wait a month. It's Friday. It's Friday, and I'm on all the channels, so I might as well get them all stirred up. How you all doing on Facebook? How you doing? Facebook, X, everywhere. Do me a favor. If you're on Facebook, like, comment, share, do all that good stuff. If you're on X, it's share and heart. And if you're on, you got to get those ratios. It's all about the ratios on. Did you see that the Democrats put out a meme that showed that the prices of everything was going up and it got ratioed? It got destroyed on X because their graph went through 2024 and they're like, hey, this is Joe Biden, not Donald Trump. Marine in the Woods says the humidity's so thick you have to cut it with a knife. Yeah, he sent me a message last night and said that it was 9,000 degrees Kelvin. It's hot. I should pull up the I can't play it right now. Well, if we talk about this Monday, I'll pull it up. I can't play it right now because I'm on Facebook and it'll get copyrighted. But I should pull up the Good Morning Vietnam when he's talking about the heat in Vietnam. Marine would feel right at home. Anyways. Oh, let's start the day off today with breaking news. Breaking news from the Babylon Bee. Gail's checking in on Facebook from Northeast Alabama. There's some news coming out of Alabama that ain't so nice. Did y'all hear about that? Maybe we'll get to it today. Oh, a bunch of weirdos. They caught a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of preverts. I mean, crazy stuff. Anyways, I wonder if they were playing banjos. Breaking news, Babylon Bee. Biden excited to see what Autopin comes up with for his memoir. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Former President Joe Biden expressed great interest and enthusiasm in his upcoming memoir, adding that he's quite eager to see what Autopin comes up with for it. That Autopin and I go way back, Fat, Biden said. It's always coming up with something creative. I'm on the edge of my seat with it'll be something. Biden Autopin memoir was reportedly sold to Hatchet Book Group, a New York-based publisher, for $10 million, a sizable sum, but less than Obama earned for his 20 memoirs, presumably because Obama actually wrote it himself. To be clear, that Autopin is going to know more about my presidency than myself, Biden confirmed. But I wrote a little poem. I wrote a little poem in there about ice cream. I love ice cream. Street sweeper, anyway. I rather fun for Samantha Mitter for the cuff. Pardon me. The Joe Biden story was slated for release in fall of 2025. At publishing time, Biden had filed suit against the Autopin for claiming he had lost all of his facilities and was unable to write his memoir. So there you have it. Babylon Bee creating news before it's news, because breaking last night, it's the New York Post. Biden sells memoir for less than the Obamas and Bill Clinton, an embarrassing blow. Former President Biden has sold his presidential memoir for $10 million in advance, far less than the lucrative deals won by Obama and Bill Clinton, according to the report. Biden, 82, made a deal with Hatchet Book Group for an advance of around $10 million. People familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal. The book publisher, Hatchet, whatever, how you, I don't care. Little brown company, somebody in the comment section, this guy could butcher any name. Yeah, and it's only been happening since the day I started the show. It's not going to stop. It's worked out okay. One's got to laugh at themselves, right? Has not yet set a publication date, probably never will be, Former president, it'll probably be written, well, by the auto pen as a ghostwriter posthumously. Former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama, meanwhile, sold the rights to their memoirs to Pigeon Random House for a breaking $60 million. You see, USAID donates money to NGO. NGO donates money to other NGO. That NGO buys $100 million ad buy at Random House. Random House gives $60 million to Barack Hussein Obama. You see how that works? It's called money laundering. It's so great. Alfred A. Kampf, which was owned by Penguin Random House parent firm Berselman, paid $15 million for former President Bill Clinton's 2004 memoir, My Life, Hanging with Epstein. No, that's not what it says. I'm kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. But I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. Yeah, that's it. President Trump did not publish a personal memoir after his first term because President Trump is a billionaire and doesn't need money handouts for a book no one's going to read. Besides that, he's a published author of several books that are international bestsellers. At an event earlier this month, Biden said he was working my tail off to write a memoir. Biden was represented by creative artists agencies, which sold Hachette worldwide rights to the book. The agency also represented Biden for his 2017 memoir, Promise Me, Dad, A Year of Hope, Hardship, and Purpose, which chronicled his last year with his eldest son, Beau, who died from brain cancer in 2015, which everybody should know because Joe Biden talked about it every time, every day, forever. He'd show up to a funeral and say, my son, Beau, died. Yeah, isn't it wonderful? And not to be outdone. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. I'm jumping ahead. Not to be outdone with Bill Clinton and his writing his memoirs in 2003. My time with Epstein. The big story that broke a week ago or so that Donald Trump's on Epstein. Donald Trump's on Epstein. Donald Trump's on Epstein. Donald Trump's on Epstein. He wrote a letter in Epstein's book complete with booby sketchings and said he liked the things they did together, according to the Wall Street Journal. Well, guess what? The boomerang is coming back on these. I'm telling you, they're screaming and hollering. Oh, we're going to get to it. They're screaming and hollering over there at Capitol Hill. Release the Epstein. Release the Release the no. Release the Epstein behind closed doors. Shut up. Stop it. We're not releasing anything. We're just stirring the bucket. Don't release it. Why? Why, you ask?
Breaking moments ago, new reporting from the Wall Street Journal sheds more light on that book.
Let me slow that down for you regular folks. I'm a highly influential podcaster, a influencer, and I listen to things super fast. I don't have time. Let me slow it down for you regular folks. I'm just kidding. That's an ode to Rush Limbaugh.
Ghislaine Maxwell compiled for Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday in 2003. The book that contained a letter bearing Trump's signature and had the outline of a naked woman. The journal now has details of other letters in that book, including former President Bill Clinton, Wall Street billionaire Leon Black, fashion designer Vera Wang, and media owner Mort Zuckerman. That's according to documents reviewed by the Wall Street Journal. More from the journal's reporting. The professionally bound birthday book had multiple volumes and included a table of contents that listed the contributions organized into groups. While many writers weren't famous, some categories had notable people. Clinton and Trump were listed under the Friends group, along with about 20 other associates, such as Black, Zuckerman, former Victoria's Secret leader Leslie Wexner, attorney Alan Dershowitz, and the late Jean-Luc Brunel, who ran a modeling agency. Now, we should note, NBC News has not seen or verified these materials. A spokesman for Clinton declined to comment on the birthday message, which was reviewed by the Journal. He referred the Journal to a previous statement that the former president had
not reported
more than a decade before Epstein was arrested in 2019. Didn't know about Epstein's alleged crimes. Black, Zuckerman, and Wang all declined to comment to the Journal.
I didn't know anything about the crimes that met Jeffrey Epstein. I just went down the island for the views. You knew. I mean, Bill Clinton's in pictures. He's in pictures with girls. He knew what was going on. He's in a painting of a blue dress. Well, golly Shazam. I don't know I know, but do you mean it? Oh, I can't believe
Nothing. I see nothing. I say nothing. Nothing. I know nothing about everything.
That'll get me gigged over on YouTube and Facebook just because of that. It's 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And under the fair use, you can use it for 30 seconds for entertainment purposes only. We're critiquing nothing. I'm in a really good mood today. I don't know what it is. Must be that nitro. Man, oh man. Oh, let's get started with the show since we're having a good time. So Donald Trump decided he's going to go down. You know, the Fed has the Fed has decided they were going to spend a couple $2 billion redoing their building and making it really special. And it's been an ongoing, I bet you Donald Trump already knows this. I bet you he's poking the bear and he's doing all that he's doing about the Fed and about this building project because he already knows. He already knows that a bunch of that money didn't go to the building project. It went to other pockets, if you know what I mean. Those kickbacks and stuff. Here's Donald Trump getting ready to head over to the Fed to look at their now $3.1 billion plus construction project. Also present will be Fed Chair Jerome Powell, Senator Tim Scott, Senator Tom Tillis, OMB Director Russ Vought, Chairman of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, Bill Howlett, who's called for the chairman to resign. My appointees to the National Capital Planning Commission, James Blair and Will Scarf. I was going to make a Spaceballs joke, scarf or barf, but I decided not to. And various other construction professionals. I guess I did. Anyways, so he goes over there and he sits down and he walks in the building, and it goes a little something like this as he's walking in the building. Now, understand, these Fed guys, the Fed chairman doesn't know a darn thing about nothing, zip, zero, nada. He's a finance guy. He's educated. He doesn't build anything. He doesn't do contracts. He doesn't do anything. The guy doesn't mow his own grass. He doesn't do anything as far as any kind of manual labor whatsoever. Now, Donald Trump builds buildings from the ground up and knows everything there is to know about building buildings. It's like his thing. So he's walking into this project. That will get me big too. Entertainment purposes only. 30 seconds, fair use. Watch, it's probably already happened. There's your sharing revenue. Well, at least somebody's getting some revenue. Oh, it's just a meme. Take a deep breath. Anyways. Oh, yeah. Here is Fox News talking about the Federal Reserve tour with some of the speech going on.
Build. I mean, he knows the construction worker. He knows the material that they're going to use to build the buildings. He negotiates these deals right there.
Yeah.
And look who he's next to. I think we hear the president. Let's tune in.
With the chairman, as you know. Chairman, come on over. And we're just taking a look at what's happening. You know, it's a tough construction job. They're building basements where they didn't exist or expanding them, and a lot of very expensive work. There's no question about it. And Tim has been with me for a long time, and you're in charge of the committee.
Indeed, one of the reasons I wanted to see it was the overruns of the expenses. Wanted to figure out why.
Yeah. So we're taking a look, and it looks like it's about 3.1 billion. It went up a little bit, or a lot. So the 2.7 is now 3.1.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, I haven't heard that from anybody at the Fed.
Yeah, it just came out.
Our notes had it about 3.1 as well.
3.1.
3.2.
This came from us?
Yes. I don't know who does that.
You're including the Martin renovation. You just added
our entire capital.
Yeah, you just added in a third building. Is what that is. That's a third building.
Well, no, but it's a building that's being built.
No, it was built 5 years ago. We finished Martin 5 years ago.
It's part of the overall work.
But it's
So,
not new.
So we're going to take a look. We're going to see what's happening, and it's got a long way. Do you expect any more additional cost overruns?
Don't expect them. We're ready for them, but we have a little bit of a reserve that we may use, but no, we don't. Expect to be finished in 2027. We're well along, as you can see.
Nice to take these off every once in a while when we're not under too much danger. So, any questions?
Mr. President, does the issue give you any?
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think this issue, Mr. President, gives you cause to do that?
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time because it looks like it's got a long way to go.
Yes, sir.
So.
President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. Other than that, what can I tell you? The country is doing really well. I just briefed the chairman on the deal we made with Japan. Japan is putting up $550 billion in order to lower their tariffs a little bit. That way they have a little bit lower tariff. And they also opened their country to free trade, which nobody thought was even a possibility. And we get a zero tariff in the free trade. We don't pay tariffs, and they're going to pay 15% on everything they send into our country. So it's great. But they put up, as you could call it, seed money. Let's call it seed money. You could call it anything you want, but it's a total of $550 billion. So nobody thought any of that was possible.
So there he is with the Fed, and he goes, "You overrode by another $1 billion. It's 3.1 billion. No, that was a building we built. No. You authorized the project years ago. One of the first buildings completed was that one building, and you're not wanting to count that in the census, as Al Gore would say. You're not wanting to count that in the total sum, but it is the total sum. You're building this massive $3 billion complex. Why? Why? They asked him, are you going to fire him? Now let me tell you something. Just look. Just look. He is not happy. He is not happy being there. This is not what he wants. Donald Trump looks perturbed to the info babe, whoever it is asking him the question. But here we go.
A developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think this issue, Mr. President, gives you cause to do that?
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And
what would you do? I'd fire him. Donald Trump's buildings usually came in on time and under budget. Because usually, you see, now this doesn't work this way with government projects. I remember what was it that I was comparing it to? Trying to remember what the construction projects were around my town. What were they building? I don't remember, but they started building the new rec center, which was government ran, government controlled, a bunch of donations, bunch of tax money, a tax levy, all kinds of stuff paid for this $40 million boondoggle. It's okay. It's okay. It just, anyways. And they started the project. And the project was going and going and going. And somebody started a restaurant. Now, mind you, they're not the same size. And I said that restaurant will be up, operational, and running for months before this project's done. Why? Because the people that were building the restaurant were a private company hiring a private company. And when they usually do that, what they do is they say, okay, here's the deal. X amount of dollars to build it within this many days. Every day that you go over the project, we charge you more. Every day that you go under on time, we bonus you. Get it done early, incentive. Get it done late, stick. And with these government projects, there's no, it's all good. It's all good. Not a problem. Stormwater and sewage separation costs are, that's yes. A lot of construction projects around here never happen because they say they want to put up a $500,000 building, but it's $12.7 million to move the dirt for the stormwater sewage separation cost. Yeah, it just makes them unfeasible. It's just, and that you're right. That is crazy. That is crazy. So, anyways, there's Donald Trump as he walks in there. And then, of course, there's one more. Somebody got a good camera view. Somebody got a real good camera view of the letter that Jerome Powell that they handed him, showing him the override. And I'll show you here. Let me get it. So yeah, somebody got a real good. Is this it? No, this is not it. Where's it at? I know it's around here somewhere. And then maybe not. I'm setting up the joke. Oh, here it is right here. Setting up the joke and then screw up the joke all at the same time. Here's someone's got a camera and they got a shot of the paper that Donald Trump handed the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell.
This came from us?
yes, I don't know who does that.
There it is. See, it's very accurate. My sources on the ground are very accurate, so to speak. Anyways, moving right along. You got to have fun. You got to have fun in life. That is for sure. And then, of course,
A developer.
others get into the act with the jokes and talking about this sort of thing. Greg Gutfeld had something to say about it. Trump's on a hot streak. Trump's getting things done. Well, let me put it on the screen so you can see it. But here's what he has to say.
She's right. He hasn't done enough to lower prices. Compared to whom? This is when I hear about Trump's polls, it reminds me of an old saying. When I'm being chased by a hungry panelist from The View, I don't have to outrun her. I just have to outrun you. So when they bring up these polls, they're meaningless without a comparison. So who are they comparing it to? Not to Trump, but to the alternative. Every poll says the same thing. If the election were held today, he would still clobber the Democrats. Some ways, even more. It is true. And by the way, you can keep saying he's rounding up grandma, but those have been hoaxes. And every time you bring up that thing, it implodes, and then we have to clean up the mess. It's easy to avoid a drop in polls, Jessica. Just don't do the stuff that upsets the media. Trump won't do that. Trump leans right into the things that he promised. So people can be critical, but at the same time, they go, no, I voted for him. You can call this a hot streak, but that requires luck. This isn't luck. He set this stuff up in advance. You know, he's posting a win every day, the same way a gardener plants 100 flowers so they bloom one after the other. And the Democrats are like going, how did this happen? How did this? Oh, wait, he has a new thing. He has a new thing. That's what's called preparation. The Democrats don't understand this. Democrats think success is taking your money and throwing it there and then patting themselves on the back. He's actually making stuff happen, right? You know what's amazing about all this stuff? The stuff we miss. Olympics will not allow trans athletes to participate. Do you think that they would have had the stones to do that if Kamala Harris was president? No, we'd have trans tax cuts right now. Now, because of Trump, we have 3 prominent medical centers in California who are no longer doing trans surgeries on kids. And why? Because Trump stood up and he shared the risk and he spoke truth to power to the deranged activists that had intimidated the Democrats for so long. Lastly, today, an executive order to remove vagrants, homeless and drug addicts from the streets of America and to place the mentally ill and the criminally deranged into treatment centers. The reason why I bring this up is because it's amazing for people who live in the city. There are going to be a lot of liberals who are going to say how terrible Trump is. But when they're on the subway, they're going to be thanking God for him. Just the way they do when they talk about illegal immigration and then they drive home and they see that it's much cleaner and much better. They're going to pretend that he's so intolerant and how mean this is. But you're not going to stop this because you need this. You need this. These were just, and look at AI yesterday. AI, he understands we have to be there first. If we're not, it's over. You know who was the AI czar before him? Kamala Harris.
I know.
She didn't even know what AI stood for.
She is AI.
She is AI. Oh, gotta love it. Gotta love it. So the left just can't stand it, and they are attacking. They're attacking on the Epstein front. They're denying on the Russia front. It's just been one thing after another. Here is Fox News breaking news last night. Legend Hulk Hogan passes away at age 71. Or yesterday anyways.
Correspondent Jeff Paul is live with more on this, Jeff.
Yeah, Harrison, again, a TMZ Sports reporting wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has died at the age of 71 years old. This coming through just a few minutes ago about the death of this wrestling legend that really transcended the sport, really put WWF, eventually WWE on the map. Now, medics were reportedly dispatched to Hulk Hogan's Clearwater home early Thursday morning, with operators reportedly stating that he was in cardiac arrest. TMZ also reporting that a slew of police cars and EMTs were parked outside of Hogan's home. And the icon, as they put it, was carried on a stretcher and into an ambulance. Just a few weeks ago, Hogan's wife, according to TMZ, denied rumors that he was in a coma, stating that his heart was strong as he recovered from some surgeries. But certainly there have been some rumors about his declining health in recent weeks. He was born Terry Jean Bollea in Augusta, Georgia. And again, it's really hard to put to words what he meant to sports, to celebrity, his signature blonde hair, his ripping of his shirt before a match. Truly one.
So there it is. The legend has passed away. And one thing, you like him, love him, it doesn't matter. one thing about that old boy is he was a promoter. He was out there for sure. Donald Trump says this: we lost a great friend today. The Hulkster, Hulk Hogan, was mega all the way, strong, tough, smart, but with the biggest heart. He gave an absolutely electric speech at the Republican National Convention. That was one of the highlights of the entire week. He entertained fans from all over the world, and the cultural impact he had was massive. To his wife, Sky, and family, we give our warmest and best wishes and love. Hulk Hogan will be greatly missed. So there's Donald Trump. Here's a pic of Donald Trump right here, backstage. And let's see. It's just reporting right there. Definitely a flamboyant, out your face performer at the greatest level, athlete at the greatest level. Because you got to admit that the stuff that he did was, well, we all know that professional wrestling was scripted, but you got to admit the stuff that he did was athletic. I mean, you don't do what he did for as long as he did. Here's another picture of Donald Trump way back when, Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. Just a great picture. But so we had Ozzy Osbourne pass away, and by the evidence of his life, you have to ask where he's spending eternity, and it's probably not good. I mean, the guy called himself the Prince of Darkness, and he kept that persona and never changed or repented of it, as far as I know. But, the guy on the cross said, I'm guilty. Remember me, Lord. So there's opportunity for everybody until your last breath. So I just wanted to show you this. Hulk Hogan, later in life, gave his life to Christ. This is him and his wife being baptized. And he's made professions of faith. More than just that, it wasn't just a show. He has at other times made professions of faith and talked about his faith in Christ. So I am confident that right now Hulk Hogan is sitting there flexing with Samson up there. Could you imagine? Here he is talking about some of his life experiences.
Well, when things were tough, I realized that this too shall pass, that this was just a temporary situation. I realized that, as long as I made the right choice, and followed my faith more than what people were saying or what the newspapers or the tabloids were saying, and didn't get sucked into that. None of that stuff was real. The only thing that is really real is the stuff that's going to last forever. Your faith and your belief in God, and knowing that, once you're a Christian, you've accepted Christ as your Savior. You're not going to perish, but you're going to have everlasting life. That belief in itself and that faith is what's pretty much the only thing that's real to me. Everything else is kind of like a life situation, but that's my life after life after life.
And he said other things too over the years. Here is Hulk Hogan's highlight of his speech. His whole speech is on my Telegram page. It's like 8 minutes long. I got a lot to cover today, so I'm not going to play the whole speech, but here's the highlight of his speech.
What happened last week when they took a shot at my hero and they tried to kill the next president of the United States? Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America great again.
You know, it's his stick. He does it good. Hulk Hogan was baptized 18 months ago. So it's been recent. It's been recent. And I think it's awesome. Redemption is a wonderful thing. I mean, I work with folks that are working in redemption, as far as people who suffer through addiction and prison and homelessness, and it is a beautiful thing when it's sincere and true. And I think it is sincere and true. There's evidence in his life. There's definitely evidence in his life that it has happened. So it's a good thing. Let me I think I went too far. Okay, right here. Oh, so you know the story. Early this week, a panel of judges in New Jersey removed Alina Habba. Said she would not extend. They didn't really remove her, but she had 100, and you only could be appointed for the position as interim attorney general or intern attorney, U.S. district. And so she was being enforced to be removed by these judges. Oh, it's fun. So what happens? Breaking. Alina Habba has stepped down from her role as intern U.S. attorney, and then President Trump immediately appointed her as acting attorney. Checkmate. Activist judges who tried to get rid of Habba lose again. She'll remain in office for several more months until confirmed. You gotta love it. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of her. No, you're not. You want to know why they thought that would work? Let me tell you why they thought that would work. Is because any other president anywhere would have said, golly gee, I guess I have to step down. Golly gee willikers, can't do anything. It's all over. Boo hoo hoo. But not Trump. Trump's, well, the court has ruled. I have to abide by the court's decision. No, not Trump. Trump doesn't abide. Trump doesn't abide at all. Nope. He says, not going to do it. And reappoints her. Here is U.S. Attorney Habba. Donald J. Trump, the 47th president. Pam Bundy, the Attorney General. And now I am acting U.S. State's Attorney for the District of New Jersey. I don't cower to pressure. I don't answer to politics. This is a fight for justice, and I'm all in. You gotta love it. Oh, she's been there from the beginning, representing Trump and everything else. And then I got one more thing that, speaking of confirmation. So you remember when Donald Trump first got sworn in, there was a lot of talk about whether or not they were going to approve all of the appointees and stuff like that. And they finally started approving and got several of them through. But it's stalled out. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of appointees they have done nothing with. So Mike Lee and several other senators are calling on Trump.
Here it is, late July in our nation's capital, and a lot of people in this town still have yet to accept the fact that President Trump won the election. As a result, you've seen a campaign of delay and obstruction in the United States Senate, enough so that we've got a 135-person backlog on the Senate presidential nomination calendar. If you look at how much time it's taken us to confirm nominees so far, it will be at least in April of 2026. It's before we clear the current backlog. And by then, we will have had hundreds of additional nominees make it through the committee process. We can't continue this way. And if we try, we're going to have the deep state basically running our federal agencies and departments. If there's anything that we've learned in the last few years, months, and especially the last few days, it's that we don't want that. Look, the American people deserve to have their elected president be able to install his chosen personnel in his administration. So here's what I think needs to happen. The Senate should not take this recess unless or until such time as it clears the backlog. Now, it can either stay and get the job done in the Senate, or if it insists on taking its traditional August recess, then it needs to actually take a recess. And take a recess in a way that will allow the president to exercise his recess appointment power under the Constitution. You can't have it both ways. If you agree with this message, and if you don't want the deep state running our federal agencies and departments in Washington, tell your senators, clear the confirmation backlog. Thank you.
So he's calling for the Senate to do their job, and if they don't do their job, he's calling for recess appointments. Be fun. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. See, they're delaying this. They're delaying this to stop the president's agenda because most of the Republicans, especially in the Senate, hate you and hate Trump. And they don't want this agenda. They figure they could just wait him out. He'll be done in 4 years, and they'll go right back to doing what it was they're doing, selling America to the highest bidder. You see, it's just like with this Epstein stuff. They're screaming Epstein, 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 but they don't want that info coming out. This same thing is with this. Same thing with this Russia stuff. They're screaming to the high heavens, but they don't want it coming out. Ain't that right, Thomas Massey? So here they're talking about, people are talking about recess appointments. So the usual suspect, Thomas Massey, I see some people are excited that Donald Trump can make recess appointments to fill out his staff now that Congress has recessed for August. Bad news. Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune plan to convene and adjourn every 4 or 5 days to block Trump from making those appointments. Now, let me tell you something. Thomas Massey is pointing this out, not because he wants Thune and Johnson to stop doing that. It's because he wants Thune and Johnson to do that, because Thomas Massey doesn't want these people appointed, because Thomas Massey's a never Trumper and always has been. Never Trumpers do what never Trumpers do. And that's just the way that it is. Just the way that it is. So over on Facebook, they're saying, hey, you're on Facebook? What's going on here? I'm on Facebook. I'm also on YouTube. And I go on Facebook and on YouTube on Fridays. And I go on Fridays just to let you know that I broadcast every day, 8:30 Central, over on Rumble, Patriot Mike Show. Just type Patriot Mike Show to come up. Patriot Mike Show on Rumble and X. Why? Because Facebook sucks. Because I'm probably going to have 2 gigs on me for just this one post today, this show. Why? Because I played a video, had music in it. And you didn't have right to that music. Well, there's fair use. Fair use says you can use up to 60 seconds. And that law, that was a Supreme Court ruling that came down in the 80s over the rappers, what they call clipping music. Most of the music that rappers do, you know, with the DJ Jazzy Jeff and all that stuff is somebody else's stuff, but they said you can use 60 seconds. So when I play a 30-second video, it's fair use. But that's okay. That's okay. It's all right, because Facebook does this to just about everybody when it comes to that. But see, there's our subject. I have to keep subjects I can't talk about. I can't talk about pokey-dokes. I can't talk about too deep into what the Epstein stuff's really all about. I can the rest of the week when I'm just on Rumble, but I can't here, because you talk about those subjects, like my good friend Charlie Charlie's Do Not Talk broadcast, they completely removed his Facebook pages, all of them, and he cannot create a new account. Why? Because he talked about those things. Freedom of speech, it doesn't exist. And they do it under the guise that you're giving misinformation, but who's to say? So anyways, that's why I'm not on Facebook rest of the week, because they suck. I mean, if you want to get real, right? Yes. So here is a flashback. A flashback to July 2018 or thereabouts.
The Russians definitively hacked the election.
Russia hacking the election to elect Trump is the end of our democracy. Votes were definitely affected. Russia hacked the election to tilt it to Mr. Trump.
The president does not want to come to terms with the fact that the Russians hacked the election.
Russia hacked the election.
Russia did hack the election.
Russia hacked the election.
The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the former director of national intelligence, James Clapper, I mean, they've all said this. So to believe that that's wrong, you have to believe they're all involved in an elaborate conspiracy to get Donald Trump.
But now that Gabbard has dropped bombshell receipts, the media is scrambling, not to apologize, but to smear the messenger. After years of peddling salacious Russian intel as gospel, suddenly they've found their journalistic conscience.
They are quibbling, angels dancing on the head of a pin. When we have volumes of reporting, you're always going to find one report that's different. Okay, whatever.
This was in no way verified. We have no idea. I mean, this is hardly information that we should even be repeating.
And you can't even see it on the TV screen. But if you can see my right hand to be down here, Tulsi Gabbard, you are the winner of actually meeting the lowest of low expectations that were laid out for you.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The same people who told us Russia hacked the election. Russia stole the election from Hillary Rodham Clinton and gave it to Donald Trump. Russia, the election. Remember? Those same people told us about the phone call. Donald Trump needs to be impeached. Those same people told us that the laptop from hell was Russian disinformation. Those same people told us that Joe Biden got 81 million votes because it's true. Ooh. Those same people told us that that was the most perfect, most bestest, most safest election of any elections we've ever had elected. Those same people sat there and told us that there was no way you cannot look at the what happened in Atlanta with Ruby, that doesn't count, that the mules are a conspiracy theory, that them putting up papers and not allowing Republicans in to count the vote in Pennsylvania is a conspiracy. Those same people told us that. They told us that over and over again. Those same people told us
into inciting an insurrection, which he did.
They said he participated in an insurrection, and I have to an insurrection. Sorry.
If they believe Donald John Trump incited the erection.
Let's talk about the fact that President Trump incited an erection. And maybe that too.
Who has been impeached for inciting the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. We understand that the former
insurrection, and I have to say, I got up at 5 this morning to do Casey Hunt's show, and I'm exhausted. So,
yeah, you can talk about that too, I guess.
Maybe we should talk about that too. The president incited an insurrection. Maybe we should talk about the fact that the former president was...
They're the same ones that told us that 81 million votes was true. They're the same ones. They're the same ones that told us that. They're the ones that told us that Donald Trump incited an election. They're the same ones that told us that Joe Biden was the sharpest person we've ever seen. They're the same ones that told us that Putin's war of aggression wants to destroy the biolabs in Ukraine. They were the same ones that told us over and over and over again that it was safe and effective to trust the science. They were the same ones that told us that Sister Susie died of the Rona, even though she had 12 pokey-dokes, because you didn't get yours. The same ones that forced people to lose their jobs, the military, doctors' offices, all over the place. They were the same ones. I said, don't look at Joe Biden stumbling around and falling down and don't look at any of that. Don't look at any of that. Don't look at any. He's as sharp as a tack. They're the same ones. They're the same ones who were chanting, from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free. Same ones. The same ones that took a knee wearing their African garb that turned out to be from a group over there in Africa that wasn't too pleased they used their colors for George Floyd. Same one that told us only Black lives matters, nobody else. And if you say anything else, you're a racist, bigoted homophobe. Same people. Same people did all of this. Same people. Same people who told us stand up, don't shoot, which turned out to be a complete hoax. Or hands up, don't shoot. Same people. Same people who praise illegal immigrants, rapists and terrorists as they take over apartment buildings in Colorado and Indiana. The same people who scream and hollered about the Maryland man who was caught trafficking people in Tennessee. The same people who raided Mar-a-Lago and went through Melania's underwear drawer. And Glenn Beck is pointing out that he believes what they were after at Mar-a-Lago are the documents that Tulsi Gabbard just released. These same people lie and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie and lie to us. Yet we're supposed to believe them now when they say there's nothing here. It's old news. It doesn't mean anything. Why are you paying attention to it? This is just old news. It's already happened. It's already been decided. What difference at this point does it make? These same people. These same people are already telling you that Donald Trump's going to steal the next election. These same people are sitting here telling you, release the Epstein, release the Epstein, release the Epstein, release the Epstein. Will never, ever, ever release the Epstein unless it's forced upon them. They don't want it. They want the argument. These same politicians, Republican and Democrat, that for my entire life told you, we'll take care of abortion. The Democrats were saying, abortion, the Republicans want to stop you from your health care choices, and we'll give you the right to have abortions from conception to 3 years old if you just vote for us. And then the Republicans are going, those rascally Democrats, how dare they on abortion? If you just vote harder, if you just give us more money, next time we'll do something about it. But they never do. Never do. Nobody did anything about it except for Donald Trump. And what did Donald Trump do? Donald Trump restored what the Constitution says. Anything not enumerated herein is delegated to the several states or the people. Constitution. That's what he did. The Supreme Court ruled Roe v. Wade was bad jurisprudence. Bad, wasn't even law. No congressman, no senator, no president, no state, nobody voted in Roe v. Wade. It was done by a court order. And it was never challenged. Never challenged by any other conservative Republican president, senator, congressman, governor, anybody. Never challenged. Until Donald J. Trump. I'm here to tell you, these lip-serving, do-nothing, nammy-pammy Republicans who go with the wind and the flow, they're not communist radical Marxists. No, they're not. They're Tories. They want to keep their patriotism, but serve the master. That's who they are. God says, I'm dissatisfied with the Republican Party. Well, so am I, and I have been for a long time. But God's going to do something. This Epstein stuff, they don't want this to come out. But guess what? It's going to break forth, and it's going to come out. And we're going to find out every little dirty deed. Because it's not just Epstein. It's Diddy. It's that prostitution ring. Remember that? Nobody talks about that anymore. Who here remembers the madam that was busted there in the Northeast with a high-price hookers to all kinds of celebrities and politicians and whatnot? Who remembers that? It's the intern doing Brokeback Mountain in the Senate office chambers and posting it on porn sites. And he's not the only one. It's them chasing. It's the Republican leadership chasing Madison Cawthorn. He was the guy in the wheelchair out of Congress on a rail because he spilt the beans on a podcast that he'd been invited to parties. And I'm not talking about birthday parties with balloons and candles. There may have been balloons and candles there for a totally different reason. I'm talking about the upside down pineapple parties. You know, that's ridiculous. They would never do that. Then we find out at USAID and the IRS, they do it all the time on duty. We find out. And here these people are saying, oh, it's all news. We have already covered that. Don't worry about it. It's done. It's done. It's no big deal. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. Move along. Move along. Here's Glenn Beck. I disagree with Glenn Beck in this, but I like the point he makes.
She says that he should be indicted and prosecuted. Not going to happen. Just not going to happen. Joe Biden, it's not going to happen. Hillary Clinton, not going to happen. But really, these two are the ones that are the kingpins. She's the one starting it and pushing it forward. When it doesn't work, he steps in and he says, mutate, and now push it forward. And then what happens? I mean, if I was doing a chalkboard of power, these are your kingpins here. And they started everything. But then I think you have the ones who should actually go to jail, and we'd have a chance of putting in jail. I think definitely these two. I think this guy too, because this guy's been involved, and now he's doing all the fundraising, and then he's also doing all of the lawfare against Donald Trump. Now he is still going. So he's actually a designer, okay? But these are the ones that you should.
So he thinks that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are not going to jail. Maybe, maybe not. But it doesn't matter. Because they're going to get their comeuppance. It's going to happen. They're going to be exposed for who they really are and what they've really done. Now, he talked about Mark Elias there. Here's Jonathan Turley. Mark Elias is the key Clinton lawyer in the Steele dossier scandal. Lost another attempt to block voter identification laws. Elias and Democrat strategists thought to prevent Wyoming from confirming voter eligibility. Judge Scott Scavadal tossed out the challenge. The federal court found that Elias was repeating an argument on standing previously rejected by the United States Supreme Court in prior litigation. Elias has been sanctioned in the court. His group was also criticized for publishing a gerrymandered map that would, according to the court, subvert the will of those governed. So Mark Elias is still moving. He's still spending a ton of money trying to destroy this country from the inside out. He is a total fraud and a fake. A total fraud and a fake. Now, Colbert, who has been canned after this season, saying that it's Donald Trump's fault and that his parent company has sold out to the evil dark forces. But in reality, he was losing $40 million a year. He wasn't making any money. It's because he's a no-talent hack. Look, he doesn't write his joke. My jokes are mine. And half the time I make them up on the fly. His jokes are written on script and rehearsed, and he still can't get them right. And it's still not funny. He's a hack. Listen to this.
It's in the files.
The Wall Street Journal is now reporting that back in May, Attorney General Pam Bondi informed the president that his name was in the Epstein files.
But he said he hardly knew the guy.
Now, let me ask you a question. How did the Wall Street Journal get in on a conversation between Pam Bondi and Donald Trump? There's two choices here. Donald Trump or Pam Bondi leaked it, or they're lying. I think that his name is all over those files for various reasons, just like the letter. I don't think the letter is real at all. I think it was fabricated and put in there. I think they spent at least the time from Joe Biden's losing to Trump to the inauguration, adjusting those files, shredding the evidence of other people involved. This is why they now listen to what they're saying. They're screaming and hollering, release the Epstein files. They want those files that they know are doctrine. They're like, no, not Maxwell. No, we don't want that grand jury testimony where people are going to start talking about where people were witnesses and victims were questioned about what was done to them by whom. We don't want that released. No, we don't want that. No.
Casting, listen to it. Start.
Nope. Back to the Russia stuff. We're going to go back and forth here for as long as I have time. Here is Charlie Kirk.
Casting, listen to it. Starts with Comey. Listen very carefully here. Comey starts with, well, we know that Russia interfered. You have to have a trained ear for this stuff. And then Brennan repeats the first part of what Comey says and adds his own little fake rhetorical flair that no intelligence supported. And then Hillary Clinton finishes the second part of Brennan's sentence with her own thing saying Donald Trump knew about it. So it grows and it snowballs into this monstrosity of a falsehood. Play cut 365 again.
Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community.
It was Russia in a very systematic way in trying to interfere in the election and to try to advance the prospects of Donald Trump being elected.
Donald Trump knows that the Russians helped him win in 2016. There will always be an air of illegitimacy around the 2016 campaign.
And there you have it. That's how your intel agencies work, with orchestration, conspiracy, with collusion, and in harmony. Per the House report, the claim that Trump wanted, the claim that Putin wanted Trump to win was based on one fragment of a sentence, when in reality, there was an overwhelming pile, an overwhelming plethora, an overwhelming amount of evidence to the exact 180 opposite contrary. We're not debating whether or not Russia tried to sow chaos in the 2016 election. What we are now learning is that they were not doing anything to help Donald Trump. In fact, they had information that could have helped Donald Trump, and they did not use it. Instead, they sat on the sidelines. There was no Russian interference on behalf of Trump, let alone Trump knowing about it. If we got so far, we were even down the runway saying that Trump was directly communicating with Kremlin assets to help him, to help advance his prospects. The media is so complicit in this. And Hillary Clinton says, well, 2016 will always have this air of illegitimacy. That is pile of BS. She didn't visit Wisconsin and Michigan. You lost, Hillary, and it wasn't because of the Russians. It's because of you. Because you tranquilized yourself too much and refused to leave the woods and go campaign in Waukesha, Wisconsin, or in Butler, Pennsylvania. The ruling class will never take responsibility for their failures. And they found the perfect institution to blame, the perfect enemy, the Russian Federation. How much of the hate of Russia amongst the American people was all based on a lie? And it's finally being
You got to remember, it was Hillary Clinton that was cozying up to Russia. It was Hillary Clinton that did the reset button. You remember the reset button when they spelt it wrong? It was Hillary Clinton that sold 20% of American uranium to Russia. It was Hillary Clinton that did all that as Secretary of State. And then they flipped the script and tried to blame it all on Russia. You know, this all led to the war in Ukraine. This all led to the war in Ukraine. This Russia stuff. Remember, it was up until Donald Trump became president or looked like he was going to win, the Democrats not only were in favor of Russia, they loved Russia. Go look to Teddy Kennedy. Go look at Bernie Sanders' honeymooned in Moscow. They were Russia all the time in every way they could support them. The Democrats loved Russia, especially when they were communists. Just look at that. Here's Charlie Kirk with Tulsi Gabbard.
That says that Russia did interfere with the election. And some people would say that, well, there was a 2019 report that says Russia did interfere with the election. You're not debating that. You're not contending that. You're saying, but they were not interfering to help Trump. Can you please elaborate on that and push back on some of the criticism?
Yeah, Charlie, thanks. That is the important point here. And I think it should also be of note that this is where the critics of what we revealed are going to. This is where President Obama's team and Senator Warner and other members of Congress are going to that exact point. They're saying, hey, look, nothing to see here. Everybody knows and agrees that Russia tried to meddle in the 2016 election. I don't disagree with that statement. Here's the point of distinction, is that there is no credible intelligence that points to Russia or Putin meddling in the 2016 election in order to try to get Donald Trump elected, period. And I think one of the most significant pieces of evidence that was revealed in that report we released yesterday is the fact that Russia claimed to have very, very damaging information, high-level DNC emails relating specifically to Hillary Clinton's physical and mental health, and DNC leaders questioning whether or not, if elected, she would even be capable of carrying out the duties of the presidency. Russia had this. If they wanted to swing the election for Donald Trump, they would have released it in September, October of 2016 at a pivotal time to swing momentum into Donald Trump's direction and damage Hillary Clinton's campaign. They did not do that deliberately. They understood that Hillary Clinton would likely be the inevitable president of the United States. They didn't think Trump could win, like a lot of other people. And so they were withholding this damaging information about Hillary Clinton and planning to release it in the days or weeks leading up to her expected inauguration, in order to once again sow chaos within the United States, to draw into question the stability of our country and what kind of leadership would be in place. This cuts to the core of the problem with the January 2017 President Obama ordered manufactured intelligence document. They willfully omitted this intelligence that existed because it didn't support the false narrative they intentionally built once again, which is the intelligence community says with high confidence that Putin aspired to and helped get Donald Trump elected in 2020. 2016.
And just on top of that, the information that Russia had on Hillary Clinton, she was on tranquilizers. Could you imagine that as an October surprise? Oh, by the way, the woman that couldn't get into her van on the 9/11 memorial, remember that? There was that video that went viral. She's also on tranquilizers. She was asking the State Department for asking people for donations in return of her State Department policy, and Russia didn't use any of it. So Director Gabbard, I want to now talk about one thing that has gone very viral, and I think it would be very helpful for our audience to hear from you on this. And again, what happened here is so dishonest, underhanded, and we are cheering you on, and we have your back 100%. You've used this the phrase "a treasonous conspiracy." Those are fighting words. Those are big words, and I could tell you, the people in this audience, they know that and they agree with that. But can you make the case? Can you present the argument to the best ability you can with unclassified information and public information? What makes you believe that this reaches that sort of threshold?
When we look at our democratic republic, Charlie, our system is built on the foundation of the American people casting their votes for who they want to be in office, to be our president and commander in chief. In this system, there is to be a peaceful transition of power. What we saw play out here was President Trump was elected by the American people in 2016, shocking most people in the United States, and apparently even Russia and Putin didn't think that he would win. Instead of accepting that this is the will of the people, what we saw is President Obama convening his national security team and concocting this contrived false narrative through the production of this intelligence community assessment in January 2017 with the specific intent of subverting the will of the American people and trying to delegitimize President Trump's election, and therefore everything that he had been charged to do by the American people over the next 4 years. So yes, this is a treasonous conspiracy that subverts the will of the American people, because you look at the action. They manufactured a hoax. They manufactured these lies, published it as though it were true, propagated this through the media to the American people. And then what happened next? The Mueller investigation, years-long Mueller investigation was launched. You had 2 impeachments coming from Congress. You had a raid on President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago by the FBI. You had smears and attacks and investigations, not only against President Trump, but against his family, his senior officials within his administration. You even saw the geopolitical impacts of this, where a whole sanctions package was passed against Russia by President Obama, specifically
Correct.
Because of the thing that they claimed Russia did, but they actually didn't do in this case. This was a lie that was concocted by President Obama and his senior national security officials. And this January 2017 intelligence community assessment is that foundation for everything that came after. And I just want to point out again, I was in the White House press briefing room yesterday, and reporters saying, well, do you believe this or do you believe that? This is not about Tulsi Gabbard's beliefs or opinions or even allegations. Read the intelligence, read the evidence, read the emails from DNI Clapper's executive assistant to leaders within the intelligence community that says, per the president's directive, and then going on and listing the taskings for this intelligence community assessment. I doubt many of those reporters have actually read the nearly 200 pages themselves, like you have, because anyone who is a little bit objective who would read that would draw the same view that you and I have, that the truth is very real and it's irrefutable. President Obama led this treasonous conspiracy with the help of a lot of folks in his national security cabinet and in the intelligence community.
So it's a big old long one. I played it because she put out a lot of information there about how bad this really is, how bad they screwed Americans, they screwed Trump. It's bad. Hillary Clinton, she knew what they had done. She knew what she has done over the years, been covered up. When she said this, she wasn't kidding. If that fiddling bastard wins, we're all going to hang from nooses. You better fix this stuff. Hillary Clinton emailed to Donna Brazile, DNC chair, who lost her job because she was stealing money from the DNC. Shocking, I tell you. Shocked, I tell you.
One of the things I just mentioned.
Yep. Here is Representative Summer Lee and Jen Psaki on the Russia and Epstein stuff.
One of the things I just mentioned is Republicans added, I know you worked with many of them today, but they added subpoenas for people like Bill and Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Loretta Lynch. What do you think that tells us? What is that all about?
We know what it is, right? They are desperate for this narrative that Democrats are trying to protect their own and we're trying to protect our own. But that's what they misunderstand about us, right? At the end of the day, if someone has participated in child sex trafficking, I don't care if they're a prince or a president or if they're anybody in between, they should be held accountable. Democrats aren't saying that, oh, well, we're afraid of who might be on it. No. So them bringing in Bill Clinton right now, it cost us anything if that's what they want to do, right? So again, they were just trying to make this a both sides thing to make up for the fact that they are being hypocrites, that they said that this is what they want. You saw, right? We read off all of the members of the subcommittee who called very publicly for these files to be released. We saw that they ran on this in the last election from Trump on down to all of his folks. They all ran on this. So they're just trying to distract from the fact that they're being hypocrites, that they know that they're choosing to protect Donald Trump over the very victims that they keep giving lip service to, that they're choosing to protect Donald Trump over transparency for the American people that they're calling for, the very base and all Americans of all different parties. And that's really what that was about.
We don't care, Bill Clinton. We don't care. Then why aren't you talking about Bill Clinton? Epstein didn't have a painting of Donald Trump. He did of Bill Clinton and Bush and others, but not Donald Trump. Donald Trump's never been down to the island, but Bill Clinton has. Bill Clinton's been down there many, many a time. You don't. She's talking the talk. And she may be serious because she's new to Congress. But they don't want this stuff coming out. Here is two influential members of the media, Acosta and Don Lemon, who were both actively covering this up, both actively covering up for Joe Biden. Here they are. I mean, Acosta was going around denying the election fraud and that Joe Biden was lost his mind until he came out and wrote his book. And then in his book, he admitted to all of it. And he says the media needs to stop covering up for these things.
My sense of it is right now is I have never seen Trump in a jam like this before.
Yeah.
This to me, the way he is freaking out, the way he's throwing everything at the wall, the way he threw Tulsi Gabbard out there to, go after Obama. I mean, he's accusing Obama of treason and so on, which is just dangerous. it just all says to me he's as nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof. And that roof is boiling hot right now. And he's just dancing. His little paws are just dancing up and down on that hot tin roof. And I just don't know. I just don't think he knows how to extricate himself from this situation. And I think that's why he's freaking out. And he's kind of going into self-destruct mode. And I sort of wonder, I think we're on the dark side of the moon, man. I don't know what happens next. Because what happens if Ghislaine, says, I want a better deal than what you're giving me? And they won't give her the deal there's just so many different ways this can go. His name is in the Epstein files.
Yeah.
Where are all the Republicans up on Capitol Hill, freaked out over this? Is anybody
guy's name in the files?
This is nothing. It doesn't mean anything that his name is in there. A lot of people's names are in there.
Yeah, they're all
I'm sure there's some Democrats all in there. Here's the difference. If the Democrats' names are in there, no matter who it is, and they did something wrong, they should suffer the consequences. Just like Donald Trump said. That is a difference, though, between right-thinking people, not right. I don't mean like right, politically, but people who have a brain and who are fair-minded people, and also Democrats. Democrats, I believe, overall will say, look, if Bill Clinton's name is in there, I'm just using Bill Clinton as an example because that's been put out there. And if and he did something wrong, he should suffer the consequences. Let the information out so that we have transparency about it. That's the difference between Democrats and Republicans. And I think the Republicans, they don't want it because Donald Trump is a Trojan horse. And also, they don't know how the MAGA faithful are going to react.
Yeah, they do. They know exactly how we're going to react. No, exactly. You're Johnny come lately. You're talking about this now. We've been talking about this for 10 years. Where you been? Hey, now all of a sudden you want to talk about it? Act like you've been on this case all this time when you've denied. The Epstein stuff's just a conspiracy theory. There's no there. Well, wait till you find out about the spirit cooking and stuff like that. Wait till you find about John Podesta. It's just conspiracies. This stuff, you don't really want to open these doors. You really don't want to see what's in these rooms because it's you. And Republicans don't want it either, but these guys don't want this stuff coming out. I guarantee they don't want this coming out. Just remember, Victor David Hansen says the White House cover-up would have been impossible had not CNN, MSNBC, PBS, NBC, ABC, and CBS all conspired with White House staff. Yep, he's talking about the Autopin and Joe, but everything else, they're involved. 100%. John Solomon tweeted this out, said, Obama tries to extract himself from Russiagate, but documents put him at the heart of it. He's not going to get out of it. I'm telling you, I know what Glenn Beck said. Obama's not going to get out of it. He's not. He's going to go down. There's prophetic word about it. He's going to go down. Do you remember Barack Obama saying that his administration was the only administration to be scandal-free? You remember that? Here's another one. I'll tell you my gut feeling on this one. It says, Senate Republicans call on DOJ to appoint special counsel in Obama-Russia investigation. First on Fox, Senator Lindsey Graham and John Cornyn of Texas are asking Attorney General Pam Bondi to appoint a special counsel to investigate newly declassified information about the Obama administration. You know why? Tulsi Gabbard's doing a pretty doggone good job. Why we need a special counsel? Why Lindsey Graham and John Cornyn? Well, Lindsey Graham and John Cornyn. I'll tell you why. Because you know what they can do with a special counsel? They can tie this up in a nice little bow and hold it out for 5 or 6 years, and that will be that. The special counsels are designed specific. Rush Limbaugh talked about this way back with Ken Starr. The special counsels are designed to cover up the crimes. That's what they do. And just remember the things that have happened. Cocaine was found in Joe Biden's White House. A dead body was found at Obama's house. A male prostitute was found at Pelosi's house. An illegal server was found at Clinton's house. So the FBI raided Trump's house. Just think about that for a minute. Obama clarifies the transfer of power was mostly peaceful, aside from the spying, sabotage, and Russian hoax. So that's right. They had a mostly peaceful transition of power back then. Here's another one. This is coming out. Wall Street Apes reporting. Barack Obama is so screwed. 20 CIA and FBI agents have now confirmed Barack Hussein Obama worked with our old CIA director to create the fake Russia hoax and then locked it away in a CIA vault for almost a decade. Again, 20 CIA and FBI agents now confirm. This is what you call whistleblowers. They can't stop what's coming. Donald Trump says this. Donald Trump, let me tell you something. We just had John Acosta and Don Lemon talking about how this Donald Trump's in trouble. He's panicking. He's a panicking. Donald Trump, he's shaking his boots. The walls are closing in. The walls are closing in. No. Donald Trump started this Epstein frenzy when he said it was a fake hoax. Donald Trump did this on purpose because he knows how to manipulate these people. He stirred the bucket on purpose. And just as things are starting to come down, they're over there. You got, and I'll show you this in a minute. You got senators, Republicans going, release the files. And then you got right after he makes this speech on the Senate floor, a Democrat comes on. No, we vote against the bill. No, we want to talk about it. We want it for an election issue, but we don't want to release it. What does Donald Trump do? Just as it starts settling down, Donald, what does he do? He stirs that bucket real hard again. The radical left Democrats are doing everything in their power to distract and obfuscate from our great 6 months of service to America. Results of which many are saying is the best. 6 months in presidential history, they've gone absolutely crazy and are playing another Russia hoax, but this time under the guise of what we will call the Jeffrey Epstein scam. As things are revealed, and I hope will take place publicly, they highlighted this. This is the most important phrase here. As things are revealed, and I hope to take place publicly, you will see that is yet another Democrat con job. Hopefully, the grand jury files will put an end to this hoax. Everyone should see what is there. Everybody should see what's in the grand jury. But people who are innocent should not be hurt. Why should everybody see? Make America great again. What did he do? Things started settling. Just the frenzy started just kind of unfrizzy. What does he do? Stir that bucket up. Get the poop floating to the top again. Let's see who's who. Yes, let's release the grand jury testimony and see what's said. No, they don't want that. No, they don't want that. They don't. They say they do, but they don't. And you know why? You know why they don't? Cat Turd got it right. Trump always wins in the end. Always wins in the end.
American citizens who
now many of you are telling me, no one sent me this video yet, but I figured you guys would. This is December 11th, 2018. And Lindsey Grahamnesty is asking some questions about military tribunals. And I still stand that if they're civilians, they have to be prosecuted under the Constitution, not UCMJ. But listen to what he says here, and I'll explain it to you. Because some of you are going to go, "Whoa, I told you, Mike. I told you, Mike."
American citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be. They can be. They're sometimes criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
under Supreme Court precedent.
Right. There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think a couple of them were executed.
Yeah.
So if anybody doubts, there's a long-standing history in this country that your constitutional rights follow you wherever you go, but you don't have a constitutional right to turn on your own government, collaborate with the enemy of the nation. You'll be treated differently. Okay. So the bottom line is, I want every American citizen to know you have constitutional rights, but you do not have a constitutional right to collaborate with the enemy. There's a body of law well developed long before 9/11 that understood the difference between basic criminal law and the law of armed conflict.
Okay, let me start that over. And I want to show you something.
Citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be.
Citizens who collaborate with the enemy can be considered enemy combatants. They can be. And in which case, they would be tried by military. That would be a military action. So tell me, in the Russia scandal, who are they collaborating with? What enemy? Is there a declared war? I mean, you could say that they were working with the Chinese and the Russians, but in this particular case, this is all Barack Obama. This is all the Democrats. And Republicans. There's no collaboration with the enemy. They are the enemy. So I wanted to point that out to you, but let me go further because there's a specific case mentioned in this argument that proves my point, and I'll show you.
They can be.
Understanding history is important.
Criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
under Supreme Court precedent.
Right. There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
Okay. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? Are you ready? During World War II, Americans who, prior to World War II, went to join Germany when Adolf Hitler called for the Germans to return home, they went home. They were raised in America. They were born in America. They were American citizens who renounced their citizenship and went back to Germany. There was a special operation conducted by Germany where they took a handful of these American men who spoke Americanese perfectly, but were also German and loyal to Germany, put them in a submarine, sent them over here to the coast of New Jersey, and I think Florida, they dropped some off in Florida too, to which they tried to infiltrate into the United States and cause sabotage. They were all caught, and they were, I think all of them were executed. I think one or two. Anyways, I don't remember exactly. But yes, executions happened. They were tried under military code of Uniform Code of Military Justice. Why? Because they were Americans who were collaborating in active aggression against the United States on a battlefield. They were battlefield combatants as spies. In this particular case, they were tried under UCMJ. So let's just say that some of these folks get caught doing terrorist activities. They go to Gitmo, they get tried by the military. American citizens caught doing terrorist activities. Anybody involved with Butler possibly could be tried that way. But as far as the Russia stuff, the Epstein stuff, all this other stuff, the subversion of the government stuff, the coup against the government stuff, these are all civilians, and they're not collaborating with the enemy. They are the enemy, and therefore it has to be done constitutionally. Even if they're attempting to overthrow the government. They're doing it as civilians. They're not collaborating. Go back. There's precedent for what he said, but those are active combatants. The other way was the Rosenbergs, who were tried in civilian courts and hung. If we use UCMJ to prosecute civilians, we lose our country. You don't want that. You want them prosecuted in regular courts by the rule of law, under the Constitution. I'm telling you, they win if we do that. Only in certain cases, like what Lindsey Graham is talking about. Well, a traitor does treason. But even so, just like the Rosenbergs, which is a perfect example of this, they sold secrets to the Russians. They were caught as spies as they were trying to flee the country. They were tried and hung in civilian courts. There was no Russian collusion, Shirley. She says, I'm switching words around. There was no Russian collusion. That's the point. There was no, they just said it, but they didn't collude with them. You follow what? There was no, what country were they colluding with? What country was Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, James Clapper, Jim Comey? Who were they, what country were they colluding with? None. It was themselves. It was themselves. And that's my point. And again, if we do this through military tribunals, they win. The powers, you see, that Glenn Beck put Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton at the top, there's people above them. And if we do this, those people win. It's exactly what they want. It's exactly what they want. That's part of, got to understand, go see what a color revolution is. Go see what a color revolution is. It's exactly what they want. Don't get me started on the Israel stuff. You haven't watched my show enough. Dual citizenship with Israel is about 10%, maybe less of the government of Congress and the Senate. There's nothing illegal about dual citizenship anywhere. You can scream and holler about it all you want. It's a canard to keep you from looking at the real stuff. Israel is not our problem. Let me ask you a question, you Israel haters. If someone pays someone to commit murder, the murderer has committed a crime. But who's committed the greater crime? Harry Kissinger was not the top. He was not the top. Answering questions over on Rumble. He was not the top. He was a puppet. This is a worldwide conspiracy. And I'm just pointing out, I'm just wanting to point out, we got to do this thing right when it finally comes out and it finally happens. But I don't think we're going to have to worry about it, tell you the truth. I don't think that we're going to have to worry about prosecuting a bunch of these people when it finally gets to that point. I think they'll self-deport the planet. Here's an interesting one. Pence had Flynn fired, Mike Pence, that is. Then they could say President Trump appointed a Russian asset as a national security advisor, and that Trump should not hold office. McCabe boasts in his book that he went to Pence with a file on Flynn, i.e., Harper and Steele lies, And 3 days later, Flynn was gone. The intel community knew Pence wanted to be president, so they were trying to Nixon President Trump by getting him to resign. That's what the first initial push of all this was. But that didn't work. They went to impeachment. They wanted Trump to resign like Nixon did. Then they would have Pence in the White House and they controlled him. Traitor. And to get Trump, they had to get Flynn. This is from Andrew McCabe. I got to change my glasses. I'm sorry. Too small a print. I took out the information and I explained it to Vice President, the details around it, and he started reading. The opening passages were not very interesting or germane. And Pence was saying things like, oh, this is fine. No problem with this. Fine, fine, fine. I said, keep reading. He reached the part that we had been focused on. And immediately his face changed and his expression turned very cold. It hardened. His reading became very focused. His head shook, but barely. Tiny shakes of no. He spoke very little. He said a few things along the lines of, I can't believe this. And thus is totally opposite. And this is totally opposite. And it's not what he said to me. Moments later, Pence and others returned what I had brought them. They stood. And then Mike Pence composed himself, ever the gentleman, shook my hand, and thanked me. 3 days later, Flynn resigned. Everything they said. Everything they said. Hey, Lisa, what is a Zionist? Everything they said in that was fabricated. And you want to know something? Mike Pence knew that too. Mike Pence wanted to be president. They did to Trump in his first term what they did to Reagan, is they put one of their deep state assets as vice president. 2 reasons. First reason, if they could take out Reagan, their guy's in. Second reason, as leverage. You don't do what we're told, we'll take you out. And we got that guy to take your place. Didn't Pence and Paul trying to, I mean, Patriot mythology. Don't fall for that. Saying that Pence and Paul tried to assassinate attempt and was caught. No. That would have been all over the place. Oh, they covered it up because Q. No. Stop with the Patriot mythology. Patriot mythology gets you nowhere. Here's Clappert in regards, I meant to play this the other day, in regards to Tulsi Gabbard. Listen to what he says. These people are scared.
Tulsi Gabbard, she may be impaired on the ethics front, certainly, but she's not impaired on the intellect front. And so I can only presume that she is doing this intentionally mischaracterizing, misrepresenting, and lying about what she has found.
She's lying. She's lying. She's a big fat liar. She doesn't know what she's doing. This is the guy. This is one of the first guys to go down. He's the architect of this whole thing. By the way, he's also hard. Wasn't he the one that did the 51 intelligence officers with the? Yeah, I think he was. Yep. Donald Trump, the greatest troll there ever was. The White House has added a POTUS signed copy of the court decision allowing him to ban the Associated Press from the press pool to the walls of the White House press gallery. He's the best. Here you go. Oh, now we was talking about Acosta, and we were talking about Don Lemon was saying that They don't want to be anywhere near this. They're trying to keep Bundy away from Maxwell. They don't want Maxwell. They don't want talking to Maxwell. We're going to find out Donald Trump. It's such a BS thing because today I met with Ghislaine Maxwell, and we'll continue my interview of her tomorrow. The Department of Justice will share additional information about what we learned at the appropriate time. Dum, dum, dum. What's going to happen with that, I wonder? I know the rumor has it that Pence and Ryan were trying to coup.
Ask you, I don't know if you have.
But that doesn't mean that they did. It's the rumor. It's like all the Haspel stuff she was caught in Germany with the servers on the election. You remember that? There's a bunch of BS out there that I'm not falling for anymore. Sorry. Chucky Schumer. This was from back in the day. Remember this. This was from look at the date. The January 3rd, 2017. 3 days before the release of the manufactured ICA. 3 days before they started the Russia. He knew it was coming. Do you remember this one?
Ask you, I don't know if you have seen this. I don't want to blindside you with this. This is the latest statement, latest tweet, as you were just saying. President-elect's latest unsolicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And we need the intelligence community. We don't know what's going on. Look at the Russian hacking. Without the intelligence community, we wouldn't have discovered it.
Do you think he has an agenda to try to dismantle parts of the intelligence community? I mean, this form of taunting, hostility.
Whether you're a super liberal Democrat or a very conservative Republican, you should be against dismantling the intelligence community.
Senator Charles Schumer of New York, as of today, the Senate Minority Leader of the Democrats in the Senate for the new Congress that begins today.
6 ways from Sunday for getting back at you. Just think about that. Right before it happened. I'm skipping ahead, skipping some stuff here because this is now. You got Clapper over there saying that Tulsi Gabbard's way over her head. She doesn't know what she's doing. You have I don't remember who it was. I played a video earlier where they're saying that she just come up with this stuff and that there's no there and that they're right now trying to go through everything to find out about the Russia. They don't know anything. They ain't got anything. They can't prove anything. This has been going on. This stuff that Tulsi Gabbard is doing has been going on for months. This is not a new thing. It's months. Listen to this.
That's Paul Sperry from Real Clear Investigations, who I've been reading for years. Paul, it's great to have you on the show today, sir.
Glad to be with you, Vince.
Okay, it was your coverage of not this past weekend, but the prior weekend. On Sunday, there was a big meeting at the Trump White House ahead of the release of all of this information. What happened at that meeting, Paul?
Well, the meeting was actually at ODNI in Tyson's, but they did brief the president, or at least his chief of staff. They briefed the White House about what they were doing. But this is something that I was told by Tulsi Gabbard's office that has been in the works a long time. and she actually has a team that she's assembled that's using AI programs to go through unclassified, classified networks of all the 18 intelligence agencies that she oversees. She has authority. People don't understand this. She has authority over all of the intelligence agencies and can go through there and declassify unilaterally all of their emails, chat room discussions, all sorts of messaging, and their documents. So this is a huge project, and she's got to set up an entire team to do this, and they're actually using artificial intelligence to help aggregate and collect all this stuff.
Well, so that's a fascinating component of this. AI at its current form hasn't existed for very long. So that gives us some perspective on why this is different than when John Ratcliffe was the head of national intelligence, right?
Yeah, that could be why we're seeing some results here. Finally, all this stuff has been bottled up, by for the past 8 years.
Yes.
Not just by the media, but of course, administrations. And the dam is starting to break. Tables are finally starting to turn on the bad guys who conspired to do this, to kneecap Trump and frame him and try to cripple his presidency and his agenda.
Yes. So the left is claiming that what Tulsi Gabbard has released is old news. There's nothing to see here. It doesn't implicate Obama or John Brennan in anything at all. How do you view it?
Well, not at all. They're ignoring the key piece that's two things. Actually, three things. One, we found out that they put the dossier in the main body of the intelligence community assessment that Obama ordered after Trump's surprise victory over Hillary. They were all shocked and needed to do something to derail him. And so they came up with this intelligence, cooked it up, and laundered Hillary's political dirt in the form of this dossier and incorporated it into the actual analysis in the main body of the text of the classified version of the ICA. And, they didn't even disclose that they had included an annex, a summary of the dossier that came out in 2020.
Right.
But now we knew that, but now we know that no, there was actually a bullet point supporting the most controversial conclusion that they had in the ICA, which was that Putin had aspired to, intervened in the election directly, personally, to help Trump beat Hillary. Okay, right. So that was the most radioactive conclusion they had, and it obviously wasn't supported enough with what they had in terms of other intelligence. So they added the dossier to back it up in one of the 4 bullet points that they had in the text. And they're all ignoring this. When they go on TV now, I noticed that Michael Isikoff was on last night, and he was debating Matt Taibbi, and he says, no, all they did was they put this in an annex, the dossier. BS. Either he didn't read the documents that are being declassified, or he's just being intellectually dishonest. He knows that now we know that it was actually as a supporting bullet point in the main text, and that's just hugely scandalous new information. The other thing we found out is that they changed the level of confidence they had, reversed it from low confidence in that conclusion to high confidence before and after the election, after Trump won, which is very convenient. And then the other thing is they've got whistleblowers now that worked on this project who are coming out of the woodwork, as DNI Gabbard said. And they had one that's showing up in the document dump that you put out, 114 pages, who was saying that he was pressured by his superiors to stay quiet because he had worked on the pre-election intelligence and said, no, we don't have any confidence that Putin did this. And he was pressured to change that conclusion. And then when he protested, he dissented, then they took him off the thing. And they kept telling him, listen, we have intelligence, but they wouldn't let him see it. And they said, just trust us.
So that was a nice discussion with Paul Sperry. I share a lot of his tweets. Real clear investigations is what he's from. Talking about the AI software, talking about they now have whistleblowers coming out to prove everything. Now, I told you at the beginning of the show, those of you on Facebook and stuff, why I don't do Facebook, why I only do Fridays, to tell you to come over and watch my show on Rumble. Here's why. The Today's Show. Can you see? It's just white. You can't, yep. Can you see it? Can you see it? You see what it says? Yeah, they put a notification, the changes to my show today that I'm still live on, says that Joel Osteen has claimed copyright for some of my show. You see what? Joel Osteen has claimed copyright on my show. You see why I don't do it? Hey, do me a favor. We're going into the weekend. You know what? You know the drill. Turn it off. Don't worry about it. I'll be back Monday to report for you. But do me a favor. Let me tell you something. I've got an announcement to make with Neuva. Friend of the show, guy that watches every single day, Mike French. He's now a team leader. He didn't have a big social media presence. He doesn't, not like me. He's not out there. He doesn't like putting himself out there and stuff. He struggled with that. Started at zero like everybody else. And he's built a team. It's growing. It's creating an income. And he's now a team leader in Neuva. The first step to be really making some real money. And so what I'm saying to you, doesn't matter the size of your presence or your following. You can do it too. If you're thinking about it, there's several of you already signed up, and I appreciate it, that are considering, should I really try this thing? Because it didn't cost anything. It costs $0 right now to sign up. Should I really try this thing? And I say, give it a shot. Can't hurt. So I just wanted to point it out. People are now things are starting to happen. There's others that are close, but Mike has done it. So congratulations to Mike. And I just wanted to give him a shout out about that. So things are getting really good. Really excited about that. So thank you all for watching the show. You guys have a great day, great weekend. I got things I got to go do. You know how it goes. And take the day off, take a deep breath, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see what happens. Last weekend was crazy, so we'll see what happens this weekend. You guys have a great day. Patriot Mike is